Hey everyone, welcome to David School. In this video, we are going to change the default SSH port on our Linux Ubuntu server. This is required to minimize the risk for brute force attack, where attackers normally target the default port, that is port number 22. It is also required because certain malicious automated scripts target the default port number, that is 22, to check which port is available to be used to target the respective devices. So to tackle this situation, we're gonna change the default port number for our Linux Ubuntu server to a different port number which is not easily recognizable. Okay, so let's start. Open the command prompt or your shell terminal. Either if you're on Mac, you can open a terminal. If you're on Windows, you can open a command prompt and just log in to your Linux Ubuntu server. Let me just show you that first. Use SSH and your IP address. You did not define the port number because your terminal assumes that the default port number is 22, so it picks up that. So currently, as of now, my default port number is 22, and I'm going to log in to my Linux Ubuntu server. Okay, there we are. Perfect. Now let's continue. So in this tutorial, we are going to use a different port number. Let's say 3333. That will the port number we'll be using. Make sure you have sudo access on your Ubuntu server. Otherwise, you won't be able to perform these steps. We're going to open the SSHD config. So let me show you what I have typed: sudo nano /etc/ssh and sshd config. So this contains the required details which sets the port number. Here you can see currently this is commented. You just uncomment this and change the port number to a different one. Let's suppose I'm using 4 times 3. That's the port number that I'll be using. So in this file, that is all that you need to do. Now you gotta save this file. So Control X, then Y and enter. So this will save the file for me. Okay. Now since I have used the port number 3333, I need to allow it through my firewall. If you do not have firewall enabled, you can use the respective firewall. I'll be using UFW as my firewall that is inbuilt in Ubuntu server. So let's check the status of that. So I'll just say sudo UFW status. So currently it says it is inactive. So let's enable that. Okay, let's say Y. Firewall is active and enabled on system startup. Perfect. Now I'm going to allow my port number using this command. Sudo UFW allow 3333/TCP. Okay, you can first let's check the status. And here you can see this port number is now allowed, which is in allow status, and it is allowed from anywhere. To increase the security of your system to be allowed from certain location, that also you can do, but we'll not be doing that in this video. Okay, we just allowed it from anywhere. So my now virtual machine or Ubuntu server is accessible only using this port number. If you have the default port number which is already allowed, you can delete that. I do not have any, but let's say. So I'll be using sudo ufw delete allow 22 TCP. If at all I had the previous port number, default port number appearing here in my UFW settings, then it would have deleted. Since I do not have that, that's why I'm getting this response. Next, I'm going to reload the UFW settings. So this command will restart my SSH service, sudo systemctl restart SSH. Now, do not close this current session. Open a new terminal or command prompt and test using the new port number. To add the port number, you just have to give -p and your new port number along with your IP address. Okay, I've tried to connect. So now error is coming like connect to host, connection timed out. Well, this is a small issue in the latest version of Ubuntu server, that is 24x, which is in LTS, long-term support. So what you need to do, let's check the status of that. So I'm going to check the status of my SSH using this command sudo systemctl status SSH. And here you can see it is active, but it is still listening on port number 22. So to tackle this one, let me just write few commands over here. Well, you could have done sudo reboot as well, but I would not recommend that until you have the physical access to the server. If you have physical access, the quickest fix will be sudo reboot. You just restart the server and it would fix this issue, and your new port number will be accessible. If you do not have physical access to the machine, I would not recommend sudo reboot. So just use sudo systemctl daemon reload and again use restart SSH and this time check the status. Now you can see server listening on port number 3333. Perfect. Let's double check using a new terminal. I'm going to try once again because I'm still getting the error. Anyway, if this also did not fix your issue, I would suggest you just do sudo reboot. Make sure you have the physical access to the machine or you have VNC server enabled on your machine. Okay, it's not working. So let's restart the server. Perfect. Let's try again. So my server might take about a minute or two to restart, but let's try again. So this step you perform on your own risk of restarting the server. If something becomes wrong, then you might not be able to access the server. Oh, okay, I got it. I almost forgot. My server is currently running on Azure infrastructure. So in order for me to allow this port number to be available, I need to add this port number into the networking settings on the Azure portal. Otherwise, it would have worked without restarting my server. So I'll just go to the network settings, and previously SSH 22 was allowed. So I'm gonna add a new rule, that is inbound port rules. So that will be, let's say SSH, but let me make it custom. And this time my port number is 3333, that's TCP, that is allowed, add. Now I can just remove SSH22. Perfect. Now let's try again. Now it's asking me for the password. That logs me in to the server. If your server is behind Azure infrastructure, that is the one step that you need to perform. If it is on premises, your that command, that daemon reload, would work efficiently, or even normal system reboot will work. For me, I just forgot that my server is behind Azure infrastructure. Okay, so let me just try port number 22. Okay, so I'm going to remove this port number and just try to log in directly. And this is going to give me that connection timed out error after some time. Okay, so it's not going to load. So that is all in this video. Thanks everyone, and see you in the next one.